Today's Wednesday, April 19, 2017, and you're tuned in to the Elevator Radio Show.
You're tuned in to the Elevator Radio Show, a weekly program dedicated to covering news and information on elevators, escalators, and moving walkways. Produced in the wee hours of the morning, a new show is uploaded every Wednesday, sometimes even before you get out of bed. Listen to some of the comments sent in from our audience.
Rob from New York writes, Tom, are you f***ing insane? You actually get up at 2 a.m. each Wednesday to put this show out? Man, you must love elevators. Tim from Illinois writes, I'm not sure why I listened, but ever since I tuned into the first show back in 2007, I've been addicted. Matt in Texas writes, I like your safety messages, Tom. It's important to remember them each and every day. And he also adds,
when am I going to win the monthly prize pack giveaway?
Ron from California sent this in. Despite your inability to pronounce words in the English language, I tune in each week and am glad that you offer this service to the industry. It's better than Google News alerts. Sarah from Washington writes, love the show, Tom, and look forward to it each week. I'm glad I signed up for the newsletter. You provide a valuable resource for the industry, not only for North America, but worldwide.
Enjoy the show. And now, here's your sleep-deprived host, Tom Seibert.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, it is great to have you on board on the elevator ride where we cover news relating to elevators, escalators, and moving walkways one floor at a time. Yes, a little corny. I didn't really do that too well. Anyway, it's good to be here. Man, it's good to be here. Unfortunately, we're running a little bit late on the show. I hit snooze one too many times this morning, and last thing I knew was like, oh my gosh, it's 3:30, time to go to work. So anyway, hey, just a couple of housekeeping notes. Next week, I will not be here. I will be in New Orleans, so at the International Association of Elevator Consultants Show Conference in New Orleans next week. I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm looking forward to seeing many of you who listen to the program there. Love getting out to these kind of events because it allows me to sit in on some pretty cool presentations that are going to be offered there. And if you're not a member of the IAEC, consider joining. It's a pretty nifty organization filled with some pretty passionate people that are, doing their part to make a difference in the industry like so many of us are. So looking forward to that. I'll have a recap of the show the following week. I always, let everybody know that it's very difficult to put these shows on the road. But if I'm able to, or if I have time, I will definitely do my best to do so. So got a good short show for you today. Some good commentary, probably the better side of it in terms of my soapbox. And just as a reminder, everything that you listen to from me are my own opinions. I do not represent the company that I work for, do not represent any of the associations. And as you all know, if it's, on the internet or if it's published on the internet, doesn't mean it's always true. So let's all throw that disclaimer out there just so that I don't care about the attorneys, but just so that we all get a reality check before we start reading these. Because a couple of articles on the show today, I literally read, I'm like, wait a minute. At first I'm like, ooh, that's bad, and I'll get into those stories, which ones they were, and then I started thinking to myself, that's not how you cover an article or a story online. And the reality is that the media today, and I'm not saying media in general, but they are so quick to push content online that they literally do not take the time to really research articles the way that they should. And their main number one goal is to drive content or to publish content so that advertisers and, Google AdWords can push ads there. They can collect money for that, et cetera, et cetera. And if we've learned nothing from the AOL debacle, where AOL took their entire user base and abused it by pushing pop-up ads to them, nobody has given permission to anybody to upload or to watch videos. Although I know, I tell my wife this all the time, as she seems to be upset when she realizes that when she goes on a website, it's pushing ads that she's just looked at for a product or whatnot. She's like, how can that happen? Well, it can happen because Google's free, and at the end of the day, nothing is free. And they're tracking pretty much everything you can do, and they make it very, very difficult to turn those types of programs off where they're following you. So anyway, so that's it. enough of my blog soapbox for the day. We'll get into the content of the program and have you out here in no time. So up next is the news.
Let this week's news stories give you a lift on what's happening in the vertical transportation arena. Each news segment is organically dug and fresh with news stories of the week. Got lift? If not, stay tuned.
All right, just as a reminder, the Elevator Safety Summit is fast approaching. It's May 21st to the 23rd. If you haven't made your travel arrangements yet, please do so. Consider sponsoring the event. Consider attending. The event packet link is in the show notes along with the registration link. Get those in today or sooner than later so that you can ensure that you are present there, and it's the first of its kind. I'm looking forward to the outcome, and also looking forward to attending and giving a short talk presentation on the Elevator Escalator Safety Foundation, what it's been up to, and the direction that it's headed in. So looking forward to that. So link will be up there until the actual event is over. So just as a reminder. Okay, first news article of the show is Sudden Place Elevator plunges 4 floors. I really wish that news articles would not use words that may or may not define exactly what happened. It was a pretty serious incident, as I will cover the links that were shared, the article after this one. But apparently a person was hospitalized after an elevator had fallen let's see here, 3 or 4 floors. The victim was conscious. And it was a residential building. Further information, this is coming from DNA Info. That was the first article that I linked up in the show. Next news article talks about a little bit more about that, more on the above, and I just linked it that way because it seems to be a little bit easier. New York Post, noting that the nanny's spine was broken when the elevator had fallen, and sources, according to the article, indicate that the elevator was not under the jurisdiction or registered with the city of New York, and which is a little concerning. I imagine that there will be some fallout from this. I'm not sure how old it was, but just a little concerning when you realize an elevator in a building that had been installed in the 1940s had never been registered with the department, which makes you think probably a pretty good idea that maybe it was never maintained. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there, or perhaps maybe the company that was maintaining it just didn't want to, raise a red flag. I don't really know. And when it comes to residential lifts, I'm not sure whether or not it's required in New York. So to have it inspected, I'm not sure how the rules and the code works there, but still concerning. And when you have a broken spine, that's a pretty significant accident that has occurred. So. If indeed, allegedly, blah, 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 legal jargon, that it occurred from when the elevator had fallen. So, okay, last week we did talk about the tragedy or the terrible accidents that occurred. I don't recall whether or not we did share that the little boy had passed away. This is the little boy in Israel who, and I'm going to get out of this website here because it's popping up all sorts of stuff, who after playing in a kind of a kid's, play area at a facility, unfortunately had something tied around his neck, went to go ride the elevator. Part of the elevator, the rope that was around his neck was outside the elevator. I don't know the particular details, but you can imagine the rest as the elevator left the landing. Rope was around the boy's neck, and inside, and the boy was in the elevator, and then the rope was outside the door. So just horrific, and these are the kind of accidents that occur when, typically when dog walkers are walking their dogs. So it's terrible, it's awful, and the moral of the story is that, man, just watch your kids. There are things that can happen, to your children out there that we all really can't comprehend how they could happen. This happened in Israel. You'd hope that on any modern elevator in the United States or anywhere else would have light curtains and protective beams, but in this case, it wasn't it, and it's terrible. First time I've ever read this involving a child, and it's just important that we all, are vigilant in what we do. So yeah, it was terrible. And I can't recall whether or not the little boy had passed away last week or if it was just an accident, but it's awful. Okay, next week it's the IAEC Conference. Cannot wait for that. It's actually not in 2 weeks, but somehow I copied that over incorrectly. So can't wait for that. That'll be Tuesday through Thursday. CJ Anderson will have a booth there. Looking forward to that. Should be a lot of fun. Here's an article talking about our wonderful, beloved Muzak and where did it all go? And it's always funny when I see, I'm going to play some of this as I talk about it. Okay, enough of that. Hopefully I don't get fined for Muzak or flagged because I've just played a portion of their song. But that's how they make money. But yeah, Muzak is kind of gone. I've not heard it really anywhere other than or TV shows where that's basically the music that gets played when you're not really doing anything. So anyway, link is in the show notes if you want to read more about that. Okay, the Chicago Elevator Association Scholarship Fundraiser is fast approaching. It's going to be held on May 18th. Encourage you to consider sponsoring that. The scholarship committee has closed the scholarship application process, so it's a good time. It doesn't have a ton of people that attend, but the sponsorship is awesome, and we do raise enough money to obviously cover the event and give some scholarships out. So looking forward to attending that, and that is going to be May 18th. So pretty cool. It's fun to give back to those that those that may need it, or those that and something that's new this year is those scholarships are anybody is eligible as long as they're going to college to apply for it. But although it's closed, this will be for next year. Next news article: settlement reached. Hate linking these articles, but I just wanted to share it with you just to make sure that we all are aware that what we do, whether we maintain, whether we repair, whether we fix, whether we make equipment for elevators, the reality is that a woman is sued because she said the elevator stopped or allegedly stopped abruptly. She was injured. She was seeking $100,000 plus legal fees, and at the end of the day, they did settle for an undisclosed amount. But you know what? Don't we all have bigger and better things to worry about than or deal with than lawsuits like this? And I gotta tell you, there's more frivolous lawsuits out here, they're like this than you can imagine. And it's really unfortunate that we get pulled into these kind of issues or these kind of lawsuits, and that's what insurance is for. But honestly, if the insurance industry spent a little bit more time trying to fight these kind of and I'm not going to say this claim specifically because I don't know the details. Not fair for me to do that, but and I'm just commenting firsthand based on what my experiences have been with insurance companies and cases involving equipment. But insurance companies, they're really kind of crappy in how they try to defend themselves. They truly look at it from a standpoint from dollars and cents rather than whether or not evidence would suggest the incident actually happened. And perhaps as I get into a couple more stories down the road, maybe some of these devices out there will allow insurance agencies and their attorneys to actually go back and say there's no possible way X, Y, or Z could happen based on the data that we have from our elevators. So from an insurance standpoint, I'd love to see the day that the rate modifiers go down, because literally there are devices in check that absolutely measure what's going on with the elevator at all times. Hey, if you can hear the birds in the background, doesn't that sound nice? It sounds like spring, right? Yep, they're right outside the window. I love the sound of birds in the morning. Anyway, didn't mean to digress like that. Okay, next news article. Drives me crazy when articles like these are posted. And you know why? Read the this is from Yahoo Finance. So it's some kind of press release, and I hate to even link it, give it any kind of props than it deserves. But it is basically an article talking about whether or not escalators are truly, really, dangerous. And this is according to the American Association of Justice, which I'm not sure what that is, but they're stating that for every accident that happens on an elevator, there will be 18 accidents suffered on escalators. Well, that seems like, and I don't know where that data is coming from. There's other information in there as well, but escalators move a lot of people. Obviously, there's a little bit more user required behavior on an escalator that's not necessarily on an elevator. I mean, maybe we need to make little tiny little hill climber cars where you get into a little box and then ride it, up a hill or up the building to the second floor, instead of relying on people to hold a handrail, not text, not put a baby stroller on the escalator, not sit down on the escalator. So, yeah, when you get in New York City, personal injury lawyers involved to discuss injuries, it is just an ambulance chasing type of event. Are there, specific issues involving mechanical and maintenance of equipment? I don't know. I don't know enough to even comment on that. But, this is a phishing news press release looking for none other than the general public to contact these people and say, oh, yeah, I was hurt on an escalator. Will you take my case? My own personal opinion. Anyone wants to, chime in, feel free. Okay, next news article. Let's see here. Worker falls down elevator shaft. This was a construction project. Construction worker, and I'm not sure what it is. Harrisonburg, Virginia. Man was airlifted to a hospital after a serious construction accident in downtown Harrisburg Monday evening at the former site of Cat's Cradle. A worker fell about 50 feet from the top of an elevator shaft. Be careful out there. That's coming from their local news channel over there. Yeah, kind of scary. Okay, next news article. Another Chinese shopper falls victim. This is another article that the title of it just kills me. Okay, South China Morning Post, and maybe they can get away with this, but the title of this article is Another Chinese Shopper Falls Victim to Man Eat, and it's in colons, Man Eating Escalators. Now, give me a break. There's a photo of this guy sitting on the stairs and what looks like, getting his rear slid up underneath the comb teeth. So how is this man eating escalator actually eating the man when he's actually sat down on the escalator? Who told him that was okay to do? I just don't understand. So paints escalators in a bad light, obviously, but at the end of the day, this could have been prevented. Hey, don't sit down on an escalator step. That's pretty significant. When you look at the bottom, who in their right mind would ever imagine or think that if you look at the bottom of an escalator with the comb teeth, the teeth, you'd think that, oh, that's gonna, that couldn't possibly ever catch anything. I just don't understand. Had to post that link, and also also had to post the image. It was just too awesome to not do that. Yeah, man eating an escalator. Yeah, great. Okay, next news article. Kone brings elevator maintenance online with Watson. I saw this last night when I was online looking for articles and just checking stuff out. It's pretty cool, and I didn't, I've talked about this before, but until you see the commercial, you really don't realize.
Hey,
I'm gonna play it here.
pass, please.
I'm here to fix the elevator.
Nothing's wrong with the elevator,
Right,
but you want to fix it.
right.
So who sent you?
New guy,
What new guy?
Watson.
My analysis of sensor and maintenance data indicates elevator 3 will malfunction in 2 days.
There you go.
You still need a pass.
Still need a pass. That was a commercial from IBM, but it was links up to the press release from Kone. And we did talk about how they partnered with Watson to do more, I'm assuming predictive types of not AI. I guess it's kind of like AI, using algorithms and trying to figure out the life of a sensor, determining when it should be replaced, stuff like that. I think that's cool as heck, to be honest with you. I kind of wish that more industries had this type of just interface. But at the same time, it kind of concerns me a little bit because you never know, it's at what point where that information is going to go. Will it make it easier to maintain equipment? Will it require less maintenance? I don't know. The sky's kind of the limit on that stuff. And as the equipment becomes, less maintenance with, I guess, more solid state with less maintenance required, elevators still require maintenance no matter what. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool stuff. So I look forward to seeing more companies out there come up with devices like this that allow anyone, not necessarily Kone, Otis, Thyssen, Schindler, to have this kind of technology, but everybody have this kind of technology, and it only, I assume, would make life a lot easier from a maintenance standpoint, from a parts manufacturing standpoint, and perhaps this is always happening, just not with some voice. But I thought it was a pretty cool commercial. It really didn't hit home until I looked at it. So anyway, pretty cool. Okay, next news article I thought was pretty interesting. I'm a big fan of blue-collar jobs. Okay, and deep down in my heart, I've seen too many people, too many parents with kids go to school only to get jobs in some job field that has nothing to do with what they spent the last 4 or 5 years going to college for and investing all that money in, which just drives me crazy. And there's a question. There's a question that was posted on HR Drive, or maybe it's hrdrive.com, asking why blue-collar industries are facing such a massive skill shortage. And the reason is because in high schools, blue-collar jobs are not promoted, and in some ways not even thought of as anything that should be promoted. The school that my kids go to, the high school, they do have woods and woodworking and new technology. Also, they have metals, and it's cool stuff. But at the end of the day, I didn't do any of that stuff. I was figuring I was going to go to college. At the end of the day, the number one, their number one goal is to get as many kids into college as possible. I mean, they have stats on that. That's what they're shooting for. They don't track, or they might track what kids are going to do outside, but at the end, they're just not, they don't care about it. And I think there was a time when you could go to school for 4 years and get a good, job in whatever you got your degree in. But those days are gone. They're really, and I don't discount anything from going to college, getting a degree. But at the end of the day, it's like our high schools need to do a better job at promoting the various trades. So why is there a skill shortage? Because I think the majority of high schoolers today do not understand all the different fields that are out there. When I was in high school, I was looking at all these fields. I was thinking about becoming a welder. I was thinking about becoming a forest fighter. There are so many jobs outside the college space that I wish there was a bigger push for that, because there's just not enough attention spent on trying to do that. But the main article note in this link is that blue collar jobs are thought of as not being good jobs, and that's just really not the case. And there are lots of jobs out there still that are available to high schoolers out there. I mean, can you imagine coming out of high school, becoming an elevator mechanic, and retiring at I don't know, whatever year you can retire at? I mean, it would be a great job, great opportunity. Do you need skills to be able to do that? Yeah, you got to be mechanical. Do my kids, are they mechanical? Yeah, maybe 2 of them are. Third one, not so much. But I think we as a country, we as parents need to definitely start looking at and talking about the fact that there are a lot of people, a lot of kids spending a lot of money on college, going into debt, only to realize that they can't get a job in the field that they got a degree in, or if they can, they're not making the money that they thought, and they have this debt that just goes on forever and ever. So that's my soapbox talk of the day. Not everybody is cut out for college. I say it all the time. I tell my kids that all the time. I say, you know what? If you guys want to go and do something else, go into a field, go for it. College is not for everyone. So Mike Rowe has a website and a nonprofit organization, which I think is a good step in the right direction for blue-collar jobs. You can Google that if you like. But, yeah, there's probably an image problem. I mean, the garbage man who picks up a garbage at work every week makes some good money. I mean, he's really cranky and irritable, but at the end of the day, he's making some big money, and that's not a bad job to have either. So I don't know why or when job fairs involving blue-collar jobs is going to happen, but it has to, because we're not going to fill the skills that we need to fill. And what's going to happen is someday, and this is just my own personal opinion, the day that we need to rely on our country for manufacturing, for all sorts of stuff that we've been getting overseas, the day that happens, we're not going to have that workforce out there that knows how to make patterns and knows how to make molds and do all that stuff. You can do all of that with a CNC machine or computerized stuff, but at the end of the day, you still need to have an understanding of how it all comes together. So kind of relating to that article, here's a nice article, although I don't think it's necessarily, replacing the jobs that were lost. Newsworks.com has an article talking about renewable energy jobs bring new life to old coal towns. And the reality is that, windmills will definitely require maintenance people to take a look at them, to maintain them, to fix them, repair them. But you're not talking about a workforce to pull coal out of the ground, replacing the wind turbines that are out there, across the same area. But still, it's nice to see. It's just nice to see, jobs being created. Although I don't think there's, the number of jobs that were taken is definitely not a swap whatsoever. And last news article of the show. This is in memoriam. I never knew John Herwig, but I did hear of him. He passed away on April 3rd at the age of 89. He was with General Elevators that spanned 46 years, and so he will be missed, and Godspeed. All right, well, that's going to do it for the show, everybody. As always, I want to thank you for joining me today, and actually that link came from Elevator World Incorporated. I encourage you to check out their daily updates where they have stuff online every day, and also a little podcast there, so check that out. All right, that's going to do it for the show, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Be safe out there, and looking forward to seeing many of you in New Orleans next week. And as always, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you, if not next week, probably not in 2 weeks. Take care, and bye-bye.